Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us. I'm Nicole Gitske. The Kern County Supervisors is reacting to the death of George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter protests it sparked around the nation and here at home. Supervisor Leticia Perez holding back tears as she spoke about the incident.
There really are no words to express the horror of what has taken place in so many corners of this country. You hear the angst of the community, you hear the fear from all corners of this country, authentically afraid, authentically fearful, angry, and you can't help but ask, where do we go from here?
Supervisor Perez called for a moment of silence for 46 seconds in memory of George Floyd. 8 minutes and 46 seconds was the amount of time the officer was seen kneeling on his neck. The supervisors this morning also received form letters from the community denouncing Sheriff Donnie Youngblood for his response to the crisis. These letters were read aloud.
As someone who leads a police force that kills more people than any other force in the country, what will you do to stop those you lead from killing more in our community? Sheriff Youngblood, I do not feel safe with you as our sheriff.
The letters were sent from several community members. They called for the county to take immediate action to form an independent oversight committee, ensure all officers are equipped with body cameras, recruit more officers of color, and ensure officers receive regular implicit bias training, among other things. Well, President Trump is threatening to deploy active duty military units to states around the country. The president says he'll do it if governors and local leaders can't get violent protests under control. Democrats are condemning the president's command for troops to dominate the streets. About 20 minutes before a mandatory curfew started last night, federal officers and National Guard troops outside the White House suddenly moved on peaceful protesters, hitting them with flash grenades and tear gas while shooting rubber bullets. Then, moments later, another extraordinary scene. The president, cabinet members, and staff walked off the White House grounds to a historic Episcopal church that protesters had vandalized the night before. Earlier this morning, the official White House Twitter account posted a campaign-style video of the visit showing President Trump holding a Bible in front of St. John's Church. The two top Democrats in Congress called the president's actions cowardly, weak, and dangerous. It happened moments after President Trump delivered his first formal statement following the death of George Floyd a week ago.
I am your president of law and order and an ally of all peaceful protesters. Was set ablaze.
Warning governors, he'll invoke the Insurrection Act to send the military to cities where violent protests continue. Federal military police are en route to Washington, D.C. on the president's orders as the Capitol emerges from the fourth straight night of protests. Well, Governor Gavin Newsom says he'll call in the National Guard, but that won't be a statewide curfew for now. Yesterday at the state capitol, Newsom said he would leave it up to local governments to make decisions on curfews. Yesterday, he expressed sympathy for the family of George Floyd and the protesters, saying America's institutions are at fault for the outrage, but he also warned against any illegal activity.
The looting, the violence, the threats against fellow human beings, that has no place in this state and in this nation.
The governor says he's called up 4,500 members of the National Guard to California, which will coordinate with the Highway Patrol and its 7,000 officers patrolling the state. Well, a fourth straight night of protest in Bakersfield was much calmer than the demonstration police broke up on Sunday night. Last night's protest ended peacefully with around 200 people attending. They gathered near BPD headquarters first, then marched around downtown and returned back to Truxtun Avenue. One protester we spoke with says he wants to make sure those watching know they have an important message.
Our fight is to make it clear that Black lives matter. We know that white lives matter, Mexican lives matter, Asian lives matter. We know that all lives matter. But in this moment, they're not making it clear that Black lives matter. So we are here to fight for the injustices and make it clear that that's what the fight is.
Now, before the protest, another group prayed for peace during a vigil at the Liberty Bell. Bakersfield pastor Angelo Fraser organized the prayer. He also had a chaplain with the police department. He says the goal is to spread a message of unity, love, and hope. Close to 100 people joined together in prayer for the family of George Floyd, our community, and the nation. Among them, Assistant Bakersfield Police Chief Joe Mullins.
And we wanted to come over here and share the message that we appreciate everybody who's coming out to share their voice. The last 3 nights have seen some great protests with peaceful individuals who have come out to let their voice be heard. There have been some unfortunate incidents, but overall, the great majority of the people were out here to let their voice be heard about a very important issue, something that's causing them a lot of pain and concern. We welcome that.
Taking a look now at the latest coronavirus numbers in Kern County, Public Health reports 54 new cases and 1 death. That brings our total to 2,386 people who've tested positive for COVID-19. 39 people have died from the virus. More than half of those victims were residents of local nursing homes. Over 1,500 people have recovered from COVID-19. More than 25,000 tests have come back negative, and 890 are still pending. We now know the names of 2 women who died after their car crashed into a canal in South Bakersfield this morning. CHP says it happened just after midnight. A 2009 Chevy Traverse was traveling on Bell Terrace just east of Union Avenue at a high rate of speed. CHP says that driver lost control on a curve and drove into the canal nearby. Christina Salcido and Valentina Roku died in that crash. Now, CHP says neither of them had their seatbelts on. We still don't know why they lost control. CHP says it's unknown if drugs or alcohol played a role in this crash. And a burglary at a local shoe store leads to 8 people arrested. Last night, officers responded to WSS Shoes on Panama Lane for a burglary in progress. According to officers, about 20 people broke the windows and were taking items. Officers arrested 4 suspects after a short car chase. Another 4 were seen running from the store and taken into custody. Jonathan Gage, Dimitri James, D. Anthony James, Edgar Mendoza, Pearl Dean, and 3 teens were all arrested for burglary, conspiracy, and looting. The teens have since been released to their parents. Now, if you have any information on this case, you were asked to call BPD at 327-7111. In your 17 Court Watch, a woman accused of dragging a dog around while riding an electric scooter is being ordered to stand trial on charges of felony animal cruelty and misdemeanor failure to provide animal care. Now, you might remember that Elaine Rosa was accused of dragging the dog as she rode the scooter back in January of 2019. That dog was taken to the vet where it received medical treatment, and several people say they saw her do this. On Friday, a witness was about to take the stand when the courthouse received a notice to quickly close everything up due to the protests about to start. And close until further notice, that's a decision from the U.S. Attorney's Office about federal courts. Now, the order goes into effect today, and it is in part due to the protests going on surrounding the death of George Floyd. The decision was also made to keep employees safe and out of the way during this time. Employees that are currently working from home will continue to do so.
And take a look at our forecast on this Tuesday, and we've got some high clouds out there. Humidity value up a little bit as well. Let's take you out near Arvin and show you the current conditions, and they've got some high clouds. 82 degrees to kick off the afternoon. Wasco, we've got some cloud cover there in 83. 80 in Bakersfield still with a west wind at 5. Overnight, we were at 66, 5 degrees off the normal of 61. Normal high today, 88, and a 109. The record set back in 1970. Your sunset at 8:07 tonight. 78 to the north in Delano, and we've got 84 out in Buttonwillow for the mountains, 70s and 80s. Fraser Park at 75, 81 in Tehachapi, 76 for Lake Isabella, and already in the mid-90s for Ridgecrest. Clouds drifting in from the south. It's because our stationary low off the coast is rotating, and it is spreading those high clouds into Southern California and also into the Kern County area. No rain associated with this, just some high clouds. 87 in Sacramento today, 97 in Fresno, 70s and 80s south, and still quite hot out of Phoenix. They're going to be right near 109. The beaches, Pismo Beach, we've got mostly sunny skies out that way for today. We did see some morning fog, a southwest wind 5 to 10, and they'll be looking at 74 this afternoon. Widen things out, and you can see the low that I'm talking about right there, and it really hasn't moved much. It will start to move by the end of the week, and by Friday, we put a slight chance of a shower, maybe an isolated thunderstorm. Futurecast HD is not really picking that up heading into Friday. Just a few high clouds clouds still pushing through the area. But we have introduced it because there are some other model runs that we look at that suggest it. So the heat advisory is also on the board for us starting tomorrow from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. on Wednesday and Thursday. That heat advisory is in place because of the heat. So with that, again, the safety tips: avoid direct sunlight and take frequent breaks when we hit the triple digits. Drink lots of water, stay hydrated, limit any strenuous outdoor activities as much as you possibly can. So the headlines: heating up this week, triple digits back in the forecast tomorrow, a possible thunderstorm on Friday, and then the weekend looks cooler. Temperatures will return into the 80s by Saturday, and that's music to all our ears. Air quality will be moderate today with an AQI at 51, but today hot. We're looking at 96 in Bakersfield, 97 in Delano, Taft at 93 for the mountains and the Kern Valley, mix of sun and clouds, 84 in Frazier Park, 85 in Tehachapi with 90s into the Kern Valley, Lake Isabel 93, out in the desert. We're looking at 93 in Mojave. Your extended forecast tomorrow, 102, 103 on Thursday, and then we'll slowly start to cool down. You can see those 80s Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and then for the mountains. So we'll look at upper 80s for Wednesday, Thursday, upper 70s for Friday, and then 60s return with a breeze on Saturday. For the Kern Valley, we're looking at 90s through Thursday, mid 80s for your Friday with a slight chance of a thunderstorm, and then 70s for the weekend into the early part of next week. So if you are looking for the cooler weather, it will come for the weekend, but take it easy out there with the triple digits for tomorrow.
Now, your child may be dealing with a lot of uncertainty right now. Following the death of George Floyd, people took to the streets with protests and sometimes riots. Now, images flooded the news of people crying, shouting, and being arrested. Now, your child may have questions, and experts say this is a good starting point for an important conversation about race and justice.
The idea here is not to turn a blind eye to it or shush them or make them feel like that's not okay to acknowledge or talk about. What we want to do is celebrate diversity, celebrate the fact that people, look different and have different cultures and different things to offer, but that we're all people at the end of the day. But being colorblind or race neutral has gotten us nowhere. We have to address these differences head on and not make them scary or bad, but just acknowledge that they exist.
Jessica says there are different ways you can do this. She suggests reading books that talk about different cultures and tough social issues. She says she will pause during reading time with her kids and ask them questions and talk about those stories. She says it's one way to help build empathy in your children and get your child involved in the conversation.
You know, we as parents have the power to change the way a generation views this topic, and it starts with addressing it and acknowledging it.
Now, if you would like to know more on how to talk about racial injustice with your kids, you can check out our website, kget.com. We have links to all the resources available. The Bakersfield CHP area office is back open today. Yesterday, the office closed immediately after governor orders. The office is open for limited services. The lobby remains closed. CHP asks when you arrive at the office, call the number on the front door for assistance. Now, in the event of an emergency, make sure to call 911. Well, some exciting news for fans of Hodell's Country Dining. The staple announced they will open their assisted buffet on Thursday. Their hours will be from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Sunday, they'll be open from 7:30 a.m. to 8 p.m., and their takeout service will be available. And Little Caesars wants to thank customers for their generosity. The chain is offering a large pepperoni or cheese pizza for $3.99. The company says it is to recognize its many customers who donated pizza to frontline healthcare workers during the pandemic. The chain recently announced it is donating 1 million pizzas to healthcare workers and first responders. Customers donated an additional 220,000 pizzas. The deal is available for 1 week at participating locations when customers order online for pickup or delivery.